Welcome back everyone to another Pokemon Sword and Shield video. This is a video that I've already done in the past, okay? We are talking about getting into VGC, competitive Pokemon battling, because it is a very daunting task, but with the right tips and tricks, you can really get into it, especially in these new games. These are the most accessible Pokemon games when it comes to competitive battling, and it is a lot of fun. It's a whole side of the game that I had never touched until Pokemon Sword and Shield came out. Now, like I said, I made this video in the past, and that was when I was really just getting into it, really dipping my toes in. And now that I've played a lot longer and I know a lot more about the game, I wanted to remake this video for 2021 to help people get into VGC and competitive Pokemon and really just enjoy this side of the game. If you do want to check out the last video, it is linked in the description below. It will likely be a lot shorter than this video because I have just more tips and more tricks that I can tell you guys and just help you get into this. So if that's your jam, if you want to learn about Pokemon, if you like video game stuff or Pokemon stuff in general, make sure you are subscribed for more videos like this in the future. But let's get into it. So I've split this video off into 3 sections in terms of my tips and tricks. The first is the basics, then we go into team building, and then we go into the actual play of the game. So let's start with the basics. My first tip is just understanding the game. This is things like IVs, EVs, different move types, stat changing moves, Dynamax move effects, because Dynamax is a huge component of competitive battling, and then physical versus special attacks, items, things like that. You need to understand the base game and how it works in order to really get in and start playing competitively. Now, the second tip is understanding the rule set of whatever format you're going to be playing. This video is going to focus more on VGC, which is a standard double battle rule set. But if you're looking to play single battles or something like that, you need to understand the rule set of that playstyle. So, for example, with VGC, there are basic rules like only one Pokemon of a certain name, like you can't have 2 Pikachus in your party. You also can't use multiple of the same items, so you can't have like 2 life orbs on your Pokemon. Things like that. But there's also additional rules, like every few months we get a new rule set. Currently we are in Series 7. So that means that every few months, Pokemon looks at it and they go, okay, these are the Pokemon that are allowed in play. Here are the banned list Pokemon. So you need to understand what Pokemon are actually allowed in competitive play, so you don't build a team around that Pokemon and then waste a bunch of your time. The next step that I recommend you do is watch guides to learn how to actually play this game, because this game, there's a lot to it. There's a lot you need to understand, and playing this game to the best of your ability means you need to understand a lot of aspects of this game. And I have spent personally a ton of time watching people like A-Drive, Poke-Aim, Wolfie VGC, or Moxie Boosted. Things like that are definitely great tools to learn how to play this game better. Also, it's important to find content creators that play the same format that you play. And I also have a bunch of videos in the description below that show things like how to build teams, team comps, things like that, that are very useful team strategies that are just super helpful for you guys in order to learn and better yourself before you start actually getting into the team building aspect. Now we move on to the team building segment of this, and this is a huge segment. There's so much that goes into team building. My first tip is understanding the meta game of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Each season there's going to be teams that are just more dominant than others, so it's really important to kind of learn what is very popular so you know how to counter it. And this goes into my last tip of watching content creators, because by watching other content creators, you're going to see a lot of teams, and you're going to see some repeat teams that people are going to be using over and over and over. And this is because a lot of people, when they want to get into competitive, just kind of copy and paste what's popular and then use that over and over and over again. So you see a lot of repetitive teams. So learning the metagame allows you to figure out what's popular and then build a team that will actually play effectively against these, because you're going to be seeing a lot of it. The next tip is, if you don't feel comfortable hopping right into competitive team building, I would recommend trying a rental team. You can get them at the Battle Tower. A lot of content creators put team codes out there that you can try. I personally use these more as inspirational tools or just kind of like learning tools. I don't actually use these for competitive play myself, but they are nice for people that maybe don't feel quite comfortable using or building their own teams quite yet. They can look at these teams and use these teams and then start to get an understanding of how battling works. It is a very useful tool. However, tip 3, I personally recommend building your own team. Now, I said you can rent teams, and this is a useful tool for some people. However, when you're just starting to get into Pokemon VGC, you don't really have the best understanding of all the mechanics in the game. There's a lot to take in with this game. And when you're using a team that's not yours, you don't necessarily know the ins and outs of that team, so you may not be able to use it to the fullest. However, if you build your own team, you know the inner workings of that team. You know its strengths, you know its weaknesses, you know what it's going to be able to do. So it's, in my opinion, a much better scenario to build your own team, so that way you know what that team is meant to do and how you're actually going to use it in a battle versus using a rental team that you're kind of figuring out as you go. The most important tip I can give in terms of team building is using Pokemon Showdown. Pokemon Showdown is a website that you can use that has a bunch of different rule sets, including the VGC 2021 format, that allows you to build teams online and battle them, so that way you can test teams out and try different strategies and things of that nature before actually building the team in game and wasting a bunch of time. That was the thing I did when I got into competitive play. I made a team and I didn't test enough. I didn't use Pokemon Showdown at the time, so I built a team that just didn't quite do what I wanted it to, and it wasted a bunch of my time. Whereas once I started using Pokemon Showdown and I was able to build teams and test stuff, I was able to make a team. In the first season that I played competitive, I actually made it to Master Ball tier. So it's a very, very useful tool. However, one thing I will note about Pokemon Showdown is that on Showdown, everybody has access to every Pokemon that is in the format. So if you're playing VGC 2021, they have access to all the Ultra Beasts and all the legendaries that are allowed in play. This is a little different from what you're going to see in actual Pokemon Sword and Shield, because some of the Pokemon that people would likely use are locked behind things like DLC, or if they don't have the DLC, they need to trade to get those Pokemon. So things like that are going to limit the type of team comps that are actually going to be utilized in the game. Like, I figured we'd see a lot more legendaries, but as I've been playing this season, I haven't seen that many legendaries, and it's likely because people, are shiny hunting them in the Dynamax adventures, or they're simply not buying the DLC, so they don't have access to these Pokemon, or they don't have anyone to trade these Pokemon to them. So it's things like that that are going to change how the team comp works, versus in Showdown, everybody has access to all the Pokemon that are in the format. So that's one thing to consider. You're not going to see a lot of the same comps you see on Showdown in the actual game. Finally, for team building, it just comes down to understanding how to build teams that synergize with one another. You want to pick Pokemon that work well together. Now, my recommendation would be picking an overarching strategy. If you're new to team building, picking a strategy that encompasses pretty much your whole team, whether that be Trick Room or whether that be weather-based stuff. Picking stuff like that is going to give you an idea of where to start when it comes to building your team, and then later down the line, you can start maybe mixing and matching and implementing both things. Like my current team uses both Drought, which is a weather effect, as well as a Trick Room strategy. So once you get a better understanding, you can start mixing and matching these strategies to build a very unique team. But when you're just getting in and starting, you kind of just want to build over an overarching strategy. Like my first team that I made it to Master Ball with was an exclusively Trick Room team. That is where they shined. Also, I have a video on team building and useful strategies that are linked in the description below, so make sure you check those out if you need, ideas, inspiration, things like that. Moving on to the actual playing of the game. This is a big part that a lot of people don't really think through a whole lot, just because this game is incredibly frustrating. There's so many moving parts and RNG aspects to Pokemon, like status effects like sleep. A Pokemon might fall asleep and it might wake up the next turn, or it might wake up in 5 turns. So there's a lot of RNG involved in Pokemon battling, or like critical hits and things like that. So there's just some things out of your control, which is why the first tip is to take your failures and learn from them. Competitive Pokemon, like I said, is incredibly frustrating. There's so many things that are going on, and there's variables that you just might not consider, and it happens. So rather than becoming frustrated and giving up, take each loss and learn from it. Observe how the other trainer actually would manage to beat you, and then take that new knowledge and then apply it to the next battle. Learn from your mistakes, and it just makes playing this game a whole lot easier. Like, for example, the other day I was playing and I saw Quagsire on the other team. Quagsire's not very popular, so I wasn't sure what to expect, and I realized it was a toxic Quagsire. That was its whole goal, was to lay toxic on my Pokemon. I just kind of ignored it, and it ended up costing me the game because I had toxic on all my Pokemon, and they managed to just stay alive long enough to protect themselves and just run my Pokemon down with toxic. So because I ignored the threat of the Quagsire toxic, I ended up losing the battle. So now in the future, if I notice that the Quagsire is running a Toxic, I'm going to knock that out really early so I don't have to worry about that later. Second tip for actually playing the game: practice makes perfect. So make sure you're using Pokemon Showdown a lot. This is honestly the best tool. You can do tons of practice battles on it and maybe try out other team comps, so that way you're more well-rounded and understand how the game works fundamentally. 3, you can use casual battles as well for, doing practice battles. However, do not be afraid to play ranked. A lot of people, avoid ranked if they think they're going to lose because they don't want to drop in rank, but that's just silly to me, because the point of ranked is to place you against people that are of the same skill level. Meaning that if you are losing, it's because you need to learn and adapt to what you are playing against. So playing against lower level people is actually going to be more beneficial to you than doing things on like Showdown or doing things on casual battles, because ranked battle is where you're going to find the most popular team comps, things that are actually happening in the ranked scene. So it's just really a good tool to just keep battling in ranked. Whether you're winning or you're losing, you're going to learn from this. Finally, the most important rule that I can give you in all of competitive Pokemon is have fun. That's really the best rule I can give you, because it is so much fun to do. It's a lot of fun to learn about, and being able to craft and create these strategies is one of the best parts of Pokemon. It's just such an addicting thing to build new team comps and try different stuff out. It's just a lot of fun, so just enjoy yourself. Learn from your mistakes. Don't get frustrated. It happens. I get it. I've been frustrated. During this new Series 7 rule set, I was very much struggling to figure out what team I wanted to run. It was very frustrating, but it's worth it in the long run. Just enjoy yourself. I am having a blast playing this new January season. It is just so much fun playing competitive Pokemon. So hopefully you guys found this video entertaining and helpful, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and smash that subscribe button for more videos like this future. Like I said, I've got tons of guides on all this stuff in the description below. So if that is what you're interested, you want to learn more, check out the description. There's tons of videos in there to help you guys out. Share this video with your friends. Let's grow this community here on this channel. Speaking of community, we got a community Discord, people over there playing games like Pokemon, Animal Crossing, stuff like that. It's a fun place to be, so check that out as well. I do stream over on Twitch. Currently, I am streaming a Nuzlocke of Pokemon Shield. So if that's your jam, you want to watch a Nuzlocke, check me out over there as well. I do also have a TikTok. Over there, I make exclusive content and things like that. Just kind of smaller scale stuff of what I do here on the YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun, so check that out as well. And all my other social media should be on screen here at this point. So if you're interested in keeping up with me, this channel, the stream, anything like that, check me out there as well. Like I said, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching us all in the next video.